most important aspect of a team, the branding.
See our new marks, and especially our new colors, which represent the vibrant, sunny optimism of Southern California life.
A wise person once said, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And for better or for worse, NFL teams have gone against that rule. So today, here are the 5 best logo changes that NFL teams have made, and 5 of the worst. Best, Pittsburgh Steelers, 1969. We're not necessarily hating on the Steelers' old logo, but the current one, which they've employed since 1969, is simply one of the most iconic, historic, and universally loved logos in all of professional sports. The Steelers went through several drastic logo changes throughout the first 30 years of their history. From 1962 to 68, their logo was that of a joyous construction worker punting away a football. This may look cheesy and silly to you kids now, but many NFL teams had a cartoon-like character as a part of their logo back in the day. This wasn't strange by any means. But when the Steelers began a new era in 1969, the first year under legendary head coach Chuck Noll, the football team made the steel mark symbol their primary logo. And, well, they haven't looked back since. The steel mark logo is based on the logo used by the American Iron and Steel Institute. Each of the 3 colored asteroids has a special meaning behind it. The yellow asteroid is for coal, the red represents iron ore, and the blue is for scrap steel. Coal, iron ore, and scrap steel are all key ingredients for creating steel. The Steelers would then emerge as the NFL's next great team after the logo change. Led by the star-studded steel curtain defense and quarterback Terry Bradshaw, the Steelers would claim 4 Super Bowls in the 70s. And they've remained a model of consistency ever since. Worst, Cincinnati Bengals, 2004. Sorry, but when your team name is a type of cat, in this case, the Bengals, you gotta do better than the letter B.
The letter of the day is B!
Quite frankly, we don't know why so many sports teams love using a color-filled cartoon-style letter or two as their primary logo. In 1997, the Bengals made a slick logo change, going from the boring striped helmet design to that of a fierce tiger. This was an awesome design that should have remained permanent. However, the Bengals, in typical Bengals fashion, wouldn't even keep it for a decade. In 2004, the Bengals inexplicably changed it up to an orange and black striped letter B. How original, get it? Because the word Bengals starts with the letter B.
It says, "Choo choo choose me," and there's a picture of a train.
Well, we're now closing in on 2 decades of the striped B. If the Bengals are taking ideas for a possible logo change, we'd suggest a return to the tiger logo they had from 1997 to 2003. Best, Denver Broncos, 1997. From 1970 to 96, the Broncos' primary logo was that of a horse inside the letter D. Now, it wasn't exactly a terrible logo. Again, things were pretty cartoony in those days. It's just the logo the Broncos have used since 1997 is so much better. Thank goodness they changed it and have not looked back. 1997 marked a new era of Broncos football. They changed up their uniforms and adopted the dark navy to serve as one of the main colors along with the orange and white. The current logo is based off Thunder, the Broncos' live animal mascot. The Broncos would win Super Bowl 32, the first in franchise history, during year 1 of the new Thunder logo. And then they repeated as champions the following season. So if you believe in good luck charms, the Thunder logo was exactly that for Denver. And hey, it looks pretty darn good as well. Worst, Jacksonville Jaguars, 2013. Maybe we're nitpicking a bit here, and maybe it's the awfulness of the Jaguars over the past decade that leaves us disliking this one, but I don't know. Can't most of us agree that Jacksonville's main logo from 1995 to 2012 was just so much cooler? After buying the team, new Jaguars owner Shad Khan decided to change up the uniforms and logo. Per the team's official website, the new logo was meant to look fiercer by amplifying the powerful characteristics of the cat. Well, in my opinion, the old logo had a much cooler color scheme. The Jaguar depicted in the logo looked far more intense and ready to rumble. And since history kind of matters, well, the Jaguars went to the postseason 6 times and to the AFC Championship game twice with their original logo. The franchise has been way worse since the logo change, to say the very least. Remember how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl in 2020 immediately after going back to their old uniforms? Well, the Jaguars may as well try the same thing and see if it reverses their fortunes. Best, Philadelphia Eagles, 1996. In 1996, the Eagles launched the beloved midnight green uniforms. The change also meant a brand new Eagles logo, which they have kept ever since. And if you look closely at the Eagles' current logo, you'll notice the cool hidden meaning behind it. Notice the little E inside the Eagle's neck? Well, that was done on purpose, by the way. The team was inspired by the logo of the National Industrial Recovery Act of 1933, which President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed that year. 1933 also marked the year the Eagles football franchise was founded. Well, the Eagles name remains as cool today as it was back in 1933. But there is no doubting that the current logo, which they've now carried for over a quarter century, is hands down the best in the franchise's ancient history. So here's to hoping that they will never change it. Worst. Indianapolis Colts, 1979. The Colts football franchise, of course, was initially based in Baltimore. The team name was a relatively easy and simple choice since it pays homage to the city's wealthy history of horse racing. The Colts once had a very cool logo design which depicted a blue-colored horse yielding a Colts helmet and a football. The overall color design and creativity of this logo was very admirable. And then they went to something boring in 1979, a blue-colored horseshoe, which has only seen minor changes ever since. I don't know. This logo, it just doesn't do it for us. It's dull, boring, and they've had it for over 40 years. At what point do you decide to change it up a little bit? And it's not as if Indianapolis has a rich history involving horses like Baltimore does. So, yeah, they probably could have changed the team name when they relocated to Indianapolis way back in 1984. If you're gonna keep the team name though, you oughta at least make the logo cool. And for the Colts, that would mean abandoning the horseshoe once and for all, and maybe replacing it with something that at least makes it look like you're trying to be creative. Best. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 1997. You kids may not know this, but in the second half of the 70s and throughout most of the 80s and 90s, the Buccaneers were the ultimate NFL laughingstock. From 1976 to 1996, the Buccaneers had the Bucko Bruce logo. It depicted a winking pirate with a sword in his teeth. Now, we get the idea of trying something unique, but this was a little too much. Secondly, those orange creamsicle uniforms were just so cringeworthy to look at. I mean, were the Bucs trying to make the opposing team crave a popsicle during their games in the hot Tampa weather? Mercilessly, the franchise finally changed things up in 1997 after 2 decades of Bucko Bruce and the creamsicle color scheme. They finally ditched all that and made pewter and dark red the main colors. Bucko Bruce was then replaced with a much more intimidating Skull and Swords logo, and the logo just so happened to mesh quite well with the identity of that Bucs team under Tony Dungy, and it ultimately culminated with a Super Bowl 37 championship in the 2002 season. Now, the Skull and Swords logo has undergone minor changes throughout the years, but it remains awesome over 2 decades later. The Bucs would change up their uniforms after their first championship season, but after winning the Tom Brady free agency sweepstakes, they went back to the Super Bowl era uniforms. And lo and behold, the Bucs would win their second Super Bowl title in year 1 under Brady and the reintroduced uniforms. If that's not a sign for Tampa to stick with this current look, I don't know what is. Worst. Los Angeles Rams, 2020. We usually dig modern NFL logo changes and uniforms, but the Los Angeles Rams' relatively new logo doesn't work for us. This franchise has changed its logo aplenty since their inception in 1937, but they really had something fun going on from 2000 to 2019. The logo depicted an intense, angry-looking ram clenching its teeth. This was certainly a massive upgrade over the previous logo that read St. Louis Rams. Mind you, that one was at least not as boring as the logo before, which was simply a helmet with blue and yellow horns. So, ahead of the 2020 season, their first in the brand new SoFi Stadium, the Rams changed up their uniforms and logos. The new one is just the letters LA with horns growing out of the top of the A. As one could expect, this was not very well received by the Rams fan base or the general NFL universe. The internet had a field day mocking the logo change, so at least that provided us with some entertainment. Well, unfortunately for me, the Rams did win their second Super Bowl in franchise history in year 2 with the new logo. So if the winning ways continue for a while, maybe it'll grow on us. But for now, we're still longing for the return of the logo this franchise used during its final 16 years in St. Louis. Best. Baltimore Ravens, 1999. The Cleveland Browns relocated to Baltimore in 1996. The franchise was renamed to the Ravens after winning a fan vote, as the name was inspired by Edgar Allan Poe's well-known poem, The Raven. The world-famous poet died in Baltimore and is buried in the city's Westminster Hall and Burying Ground. So, from 1996 to 98, the logo was a shield with the word Ravens and the letter B inside of it. The shield also had raven wings. However, Baltimore amateur artist Frederick Bouchat sued the Ravens and claimed that he was the one who came up with the logo design. The Ravens were then forced to change their logo ahead of the 1999 season, which they have kept intact ever since. It is no wonder the Ravens have retained this logo for over 2 decades now. It's artistic and crafty, but with an edge to it, which is exactly what you want in an NFL logo. So many legends have come and gone throughout the years since this logo's inception, including Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, and Ed Reed. The Ravens also have one of the NFL's best uniform colors and designs. Sure, they've made some minor adjustments over the years, but nothing too major, which is good, because let's keep it that way. They have something good going on here in Baltimore. Worst. New England Patriots, 1993. Alright, let me start by saying we love the colors, uniform designs, and patterns the Patriots have worn in the Bill Belichick era. But the Flying Elvis logo still doesn't cut it 3 decades later. The Patriots' initial logo depicted an American Revolution soldier named Pat Patriot, who also serves as the team's mascot. Honestly, it was a really cool and very creative look for a football team trying to really emphasize their patriotic roots. Plus, Pat Patriot was a catchy name, and the cartoonist, Phil Bissell, did a nice job in combining the football player and soldier personas into one logo. So, did the Patriots really need to change things up and unintentionally pay homage to American music icon Elvis Presley when they introduced their new logo in 1993? We're not gonna lie and tell you that the Flying Elvis is hideous, because, well, it's not. And Tom Brady and Bill Belichick gave it plenty of historic relevance with their 6 Super Bowl championships together. It's just, Pat Patriot was something that should have never been replaced, period. But which logo do you think was the worst in NFL history to date? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.